Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Podcast. This is podcast number 43. Hello, a croeso I podcast 3 43. My name is Gareth Evans. This is Mr. Henry, oh so festive Cooper.
I'm ready to go home. You know, like it's the end of the year. I'm ready to just get in warm and like eat loads of food.
Eat loads of food. There's a Christmas bonus.
Yeah, I mean, I like eating regular food, but loads of food and loads of like good. Like, you have turkey on the main day, Christmas Day itself. Then you have turkey again because it's probably leftovers. Chances are there's still a bit more if I haven't eaten it all on the day after Boxing Day.
Yeah.
It's just the dream. The food's the best part of Christmas.
Turkey for days. And the Christmas jumpers, obviously. You're sporting a
Darth Vader. It says, this is my jolly face.
This is my jolly face.
It's Darth Vader pulling.
He's in the Christmas spirit. I've got my little elves collar neck on. Nice.
Aren't they cute?
Yeah, they are cute.
You're a bit too big for an elf. You need to be small and like delicate
to be an elf.
Because you're tall and brawny. You know, you're the least elf-like elf.
Well, there you go. I'm wearing elves.
Cultural appropriation.
There you go. Apologies. Please don't get offended
Cancelled.
by my appropriation. Don't cancel us. Not for another year at least, because this is a celebration of the year. This is what this podcast is: a celebration of all things PGG this year. Taking a look back at 2019. Taking a look back at the videos that did the best for us, and if you are a new subscriber, you probably subscribed from one of the videos we're going to discuss today. So looking also at the top news stories from the year from a PGG perspective, and we've got a whole host of topics. They're all very different. Each of them got a separate game, so there's no double overs here. So that's what the theme of this special Christmas podcast is. So what happened in 2019? This is essentially it. So we're going to start off with our most viewed video from this year, our biggest news story, you could say, in PGG terms at the very least. And this was a video titled, "Has EVE Online just screwed all its players?"
You will notice a bit of a theme among most
the
popular
titles
videos.
in it, 289,000 views this got published on July the 10th. Now, this was the story that EVE Online players were under siege from an NPC alien invasion out of the blue. So a non-player faction known as the Drifters were laying siege to thousands of Citadel starbases, which were the big, huge star bases in the game, and they destroyed more than 5,000 player ships, obliterating hundreds and billions of ISK, which is the currency in the game, and initially crippling many of EVE's biggest alliances as they scrambled to respond. So it was a big shake-up of the snow globe in terms of the EVE Online thing. Obviously, if you want to go and catch up with the story as it happened, you can go and watch the video that we covered it in, and that goes for any of the other topics that we're covering today. So this was something that happened because EVE Online, many were saying, were getting pretty stagnated, and people wanted something to shake up the snow globe, as I said. Now, it was good and bad for a lot of reasons, because the big corporations were mainly just annoyed by this because it involved a lot of work, essentially, because some of them were being hit anywhere between 20 and 40 times per day by different drifter invasions, and each one of those hits required a coordinated response by upwards of 20 players. So there's a lot of defending the territory when these drifters hit you.
But that's what EVE's all about anyway, so I feel like that's the kind of thing you should be getting excited by.
Yeah.
And most of the smaller players who aren't part of these huge corporations, they were having a great time, but it's the big ones who had kind of gamed the system almost and had a monopoly.
Yeah. I think the problem was that it was the AI on these drifters, because they were NPCs, they weren't really going for the jugular and destroying these ships. They'd attack, because there's 3 phases of attack. They'd come and attack, and they'd go away for a while and then come back again. And then because it was so predictable, it was easy to defend against, and it was seen as a bit of a grind. It's just like a time sink essentially, where players had to go and do this thing. Oh, let's just go and deal with these drifters, and then we can get back to doing what we essentially want to be doing. And I think that was the issue. So it got boring pretty quickly. And yeah, like you said, it was all the PvP, or a lot of the PvP. Stuff going on at the time was put on pause to deal with this shit, while all the big corporations were like scrambling, what the hell is going on, for one, because they didn't know what was going on, and then having to deal with it, and then having all this additional work to do in their spare time while they're trying to play a game. They had to work to kill these drifters. It didn't sound like a lot of fun, but then again, like you said, it was the casuals and ones who didn't have a lot to lose were liking the event, so that's for sure.
Well, it's what everyone was asking for, wasn't it? 'Cause I don't play EVE, but I know a lot of people like me. We watch EVE because of the real world stories that come out of it, because it's such a dedicated and specific kind of community. But people were looking for a shake-up, and they got it. Whether or not it was the shake-up you wanted is up for debate. But I think this whole thing's really cool, especially in universe, like having a extra galactic thing, like aliens from outside your galaxy have come in and they're messing up your shit. What's going on? Total chaos. And it seems really like authentic and organic. People having to respond so like suddenly. Scrambled is the word, because when I hear it, I like imagine, in like a Star Wars or something, like scramble all fighters, like send out everything to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. So that was that. Another runaway successful EVE Online video, because one of many now for the channel. Over 250,000 views just on that video from this year. So just goes to show, not only do we find it interesting, hundreds of thousands of other people do too. So that was the biggest story on our channel this year, the EVE Online scrambling thing, believe it or not. So there you have it. Like I said, if you want to go check out the video, we'll link it in the description of this one. So let's move on to our second most popular news story of the year.
The second most popular one was, again, it was a player outrage type thing, which is, it's right in our wheelhouse. How Ark Survival Evolved devs screwed over one of their most loyal players. And that one's got around 100,000 views and was released back in March the 29th. So Ark Survival Evolved, in case you don't know, it's like a survival game, but there's a heavy PvP sort of MMO-esque element to it. But you're dropped in, you're stranded on an island, sort of like a caveman, and you can develop into essentially a reasonable level of society, because you can like tame dinosaurs and other random animals. You can build structures and different weapons based on different resources. So you can start off with just a stick, then you can put like a spike on the end of the stick and have a spear, and eventually you can get like proper weapons. So there's a technique called meshing, which is essentially clipping through objects and scenery. You can kind of walk between like the outside of the collision detection and like under the levels of the game world, and just then reappear when at will. The
mesh is essentially the surface of the world, and you can get under the mesh or do the meshing by getting by clipping through it, and then you're able to access places you're not supposed to. That can really make you do things that you're not supposed to.
And in a PvP game where you can build, full like fortresses full of defenses and stuff, if you can just go loop underneath and pop up inside, you can just terrorize everything, which isn't very good. So there's a YouTuber who goes by HOD Gaming. He made a video detailing how it happens, but it's not meant as like an instructional video. It's not like a how-to. It's developers, look at this is what's happening, this is how you can fix it, here's a bunch of solutions. So of course they did what any respectable developer would do, which is listen to everything he said,
and fix the game.
Fixed the game. They even employed him. They gave him the job of coding the bug fixes. No, they didn't. They permabanned him. Permabanned him. And this guy, he's a dedicated Ark creator. He creates content online specifically for Ark, because it's one of those games where you can do loads of cool stuff.
Hence they screwed him over, right?
They screwed him right over. Eventually the developer, which is called Studio Wildcard, they did reverse the ban, but to my knowledge the problem still persists, and people are still entering other people's bases through this meshing technique. And it kind of opened a bit more of a conversation of like toxicity in that community. Loads of people in the comments were like, yeah, like that's just what it's like across the board in all PvP Ark servers. It's just shit. If you want to play and have fun with the mechanics and the like survival systems, just play offline or in a private world.
It's actually interesting when we cover these types of stories from games that we're not familiar with. The response that we get from the players and the community from those games coming in and just saying, yeah, this is absolutely trash. This, like, the whole game is ruined by this thing. You can't even get a decent experience because this is happening. And then the developers are like closing their ears and they're like shutting their mouths and they don't want to hear anything of it because it involves extra work or whatever. And they're just sitting there just allowing this to go on. And then when somebody highlights the issue, they'll end up banning them. And it just seems like a shitty state of affairs for a lot of people who are invested in the game. And I mean, what do you do in that instance? Raising awareness is part of the solution in my eyes. So
well, luckily this guy did get his membership reinstated, but hopefully the devs have since fixed it or are planning to, or are working on it at the very least, because it's a very unique game, Ark. There's nothing really quite like it out right now, so it'd be a shame if it just fell into a pool of toxicity because of PvP problems.
There you go. So again, if you want to go and check out the video, link in the description. The next and third most viewed news topic of this year was Anthem related. When Anthem was seemingly being abandoned, why is no one playing Anthem? Which was our video published on May the 24th, garnered 90,000 views-ish. And the news was that it dropped out of the 50 most played games on Xbox. So people were just deserting due to, obviously, a plethora of issues, launch, loot issues, server issues crashing, bricking consoles, excessive loading screens, missing characters, invisible enemies, and such forth. Excuse me. At the time, the developers hadn't updated the player base for over a month, and the previous one was like a tweet about something random. So there wasn't exactly decent support there. So people are losing faith, and people were deserting because everything, the Cataclysm was promised, but that ended up being delayed. That some people didn't know when specifically that was coming or what it even was. So it eventually arrived, and it was pretty underwhelming, that's for sure. They delayed a roadmap they said they were going to fix up the game rather than working on future content because the game was shit at launch, essentially. And that was the reverberation effect, the knock-on effect of the fact that the game was shit at launch. And then in August, Ben Irving, the lead producer, left. And then September the 17th, developers said they were moving away from previously announced update plans in favor of long-term fixes again. We're not going to work on future content. We're just going to fix what they get because the game's shit. There's no point, doubling down on the shit. We need to fix the shit.
Yeah, we're going to fix the problems we made in the first place by shipping it too early.
And then head of live service at BioWare, Chad Robertson, quit in early November. And the future really was looking shit. Now, this is obviously updated since the video our video was just an update on the state at the time. But by mid-November, there's a bit of an update to this story for the rest of the year. It was suggested that BioWare are about to double down on Anthem and they're overhauling the entire game. And this was a report published by Kotaku, written by Jason Schreier. And some of the quotes from the article are as follows. Right now, dozens, if not hundreds of developers both of BioWare's offices in Austin, Texas, and Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, are quietly working on plans to overhaul the game. Working on plans is not entirely anything concrete, but at least there's a little glimmer of hope.
We're not doing anything. We're not planning on anything. We're working on plans to do something.
Yeah, we're thinking about doing something.
But it's almost there. Yeah. At least it's a bit of progress.
The other quote was from an actual developer. We spent a few months just tearing it down and figuring out what needed to change fundamentally a lot. And we've been rebuilding for another few months since. So this thing's been in the planning for a while. So apparently they're still putting a lot of work into the game. Whether that's going to come to fruition is another question, because they still need the players playing. They still need players to keep it alive. If players aren't playing, spending money on microtransactions or whatever, then there's no resources there to support the game in future. So there's a question mark over that, obviously. Some of the issues that they're looking to fix is specifically they're looking to break up the map, because it was all one initially, the outside world map, all as one. So if they wanted to fix something in the world, it affected the whole of the world itself. In one specific area, for example, they had to they had to apply it to the whole world, and maybe that introduces bugs for the other parts of the world. So they're going to segregate it all off so they can work on specific areas of the map individually, so that it doesn't have a knock-on effect on anyone else. And also, they're looking to not need to go back to Fort Tarsis after every mission, because that was one of the main criticisms, is Fort Tarsis takes so effing long to load up, like minutes on minutes on some consoles.
And there's nothing fun to do there. It's just an area to walk around in very slowly.
Get missions.
Yeah, and just waste time, because everyone knows the best thing about Anthem is the flying around in your robot suit. That's awesome. Widely reported. Everyone knows that's the good bit. Let me get back to the good stuff.
So, although it was bad news this year for Anthem, I mean, it's been bad news since the start. There's a glimmer of hope based on these reports by Jason Schreier. Now, he generally gets it right. Whether they come to fruition or not, he can't say, because, again, it's just in the planning stages. We're thinking about putting a plan together. The type of wording isn't very concrete, and you don't know whether, a couple of months down the line, EA will be like, nah, just shut it down. It's not even worth it, because there comes a point where it's not going to be worth it, where there's not enough players who are going to be playing it, and you might be servicing such a small group of players. I don't know. No Man's Sky's had a resurgence due to overhauling of games, and I think that sets a good example for these types of games, and for communities who have that hope that the game can, see a glory days. I was going to say glory days again, but it never had.
Yeah, it didn't really have any, did it?
But yeah, there's still hope there. Now it's still very tenuous. We'll see how it pans out. That was Anthem this year.
My next one is a video which I remember being confusing to do at the time, because that's part of the problem, and it was about the Steam Summer Sale disaster. And so the full title is Steam Summer Sale Disaster, 70% of gamers not interested in Google Stadia, and more gaming news, because it was a news roundup. So it's the Steam Grand Prix Summer Sale. Most people will know Steam do a pretty good summer sale usually, but this one introduced a meta game where you could win free games, essentially. It sounds great, but it had a really, really, really confusing points-based system. So you can earn points, but in order to collate and collect points, you need a boost meter, and you need space in your boost meter, because if you haven't got space in your boost meter, there's nowhere to put your points, because we all know how boost meters work.
You all need space on a boost meter.
We do. So you can grow your boost meter by spending money in the store like you would normally on your regular purchases. You then earn points by completing quests in any of your games that you've bought or bought previously or whatever. Players join teams to work together, and you can even attack other people. And then there's a bunch of terms like Nitro, which we talked about at the time. I've rewatched the video, still no idea what that really means in the context of this meta game. And the winning team will be awarded a the winning team will be awarded a game from their wish list completely for free. Sounds good if you can actually, get over the convoluted mess that is this metagame. Once you win, you get a free game. Awesome. People interpreted that to be a random game from their wish list, and most people have fairly extensive wish lists on Steam. And part of the problem with that is that loads of people delisted cheaper games or small-scale indie games to maximize the chances of getting a more expensive title, because that makes sense. You want to get the most for your money. If you get something free, you want to save the most money, right?
You prioritize the bigger purchases.
In reality, it was actually just the game that's at the top of your wish list, and you can manually reorder it. So if you can just drag the one you want to the top, and that's the game you'll get if you win. But this is a major problem for indie devs, because they really rely on wish listing, because it's how they help calculate their sales projections, and they need that for investors and shareholders and whatnot. So that became a really big issue.
There's a direct correlation between the amount of people who have you on your wish list and the amount of money that you make. Say 2% of the people on your wish list, of the people who've wish listed you, buy it every month, right? If it's 2%, right? So it's that percentage is always kind of the same. So if people are delisting your game from their wish lists en masse, then your revenue for the next month is going to take a huge impact. And so you can see why these indie devs weren't happy about that.
So all in all, this whole situation, Steam managed to piss off a bunch of players because of a convoluted system which they didn't understand, and piss off a bunch of devs because their games were getting de-wish listed, and it wasn't really great news for Steam at the time, but they dealt with it. Like it was quite a self-contained thing. So the summer sale ended. It normally only lasts for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So they just kind of moved on with their day.
Hopefully, lesson learned. I think they've just announced the winter sale. They've announced their Game of the Year awards thing today too. We don't have really time to go through that in this video, but that information is out there if you want to go and search for it. Because because Steam sales are usually really, really exciting.
Yeah.
Take out all the convoluted bullshit meta game. Hopefully we can get a decent winter sale this time and get some decent games. So let's move on now. The next video on our list of top 10 videos is Days Gone really as bad as the reviews say? Now, this was our review round. It wasn't really a review round, but it was us, based on our first impressions of playing the game, assessing what the reviewers were saying about the game and the more critical things that were saying about the game. This was on the May the 1st we published this video. So we were reacting to the reviews essentially because we didn't really. It was like there's something wrong here. There's something not connecting. Something not quite right. What the hell is it? The Metacritic on the game is at 71, which is in my eyes criminally low. But that's just my opinion, and Henry probably holds the same opinion too. User score is 8.0, if it gives you any indication. A lot of people weigh user score a lot higher than the reviewer's score. So the criticisms specifically for the game that the reviewers said were that it brings nothing new to the table.
Classic.
That'll classic.
That line doesn't bring anything new to the table. Yeah. I don't know why I'm putting on the voice. That's my neutral voice right now because my nose is so blocked.
There's nothing new on this table. They were calling it generic. Obviously, of course, it's generic. If you play a lot of those types of games, it's fresh and new if you don't play any. They were talking about glitches and bugs being reported, although we said in the video we didn't experience any of those ourselves because we had the day one patch and it was all fine by the day one patch. So and they also said that it was boring to do things like go and get fuel all the time, which we noted was one of the best mechanics in the game because that forced you to explore the world so you could happen across random encounters and situations and feel the intensity of the open world in its early stages, because it is intense when you don't really know the layout, you don't really know what enemies are coming at you.
Your bike's really loud and it can't get very far because the fuel tank's crap. So you'll see a horde down there. It's like, it's all right, I can just ride past them. No, I can't. Got no fuel. I can barely make it down this hill. So you've got to tactically let go of the accelerator going down the hill and just kind of, let gravity do the work. I loved covering Days Gone because it's definitely one of my favourite games this year. And I keep sort of forgetting about it because it was so long ago. It came out in April. But I really enjoyed it. And it's people are going to have their opinions. It's a shame some of these reviewers didn't quite connect with it in the same way I did. But I had a great time.
I think a lot of the criticisms for me, it kind of rings that these reviewers just hate playing open world games, or they've got open world fatigue, or they're forced to play a game for 60 hours that they don't really like. And is that the way to do reviews now? Whenever we do reviews, we always take our time playing the games. We don't try and force out a review just to get the clicks. Like that's, and you'll see on our reviews that some of our least viewed videos on our channel, but that's not the point, right? The point is that we play the game properly, we play the game intensively, and we take all the information at leisure and try and figure out what the game's like for a regular consumer, for someone who's going to take the time with the game, someone who's not going to binge it in 48 hours or whatever. And I think there's a lot of value to those types of reviews that we can offer outside of these other reviewers who are forced and might dislike a game just because they're forced to play it at a really rapid pace. And I think despite the low viewing figures on our reviews, I think they're worthy of keeping going just for the sake of that.
I spent 80 hours on Death Stranding, and that's not complete the campaign and then go back and do side stuff. I did loads of side stuff in between. I spent a lot of time maximizing my connection with certain areas just to see what happens and get a full grip of that. I could have finished it in the average game time is between like some people did it in 30, some people did it in 50, so around 40. Yeah, I could have done that, but I didn't. I didn't want to rush it. I just played it at my own pace, the way I would have naturally.
Yeah.
Because in the professional game reviewing situation for bigger outlets, it's an unnatural way to play a game compared to the way most people will, because it's in a box, it's in confinement. And I totally get why a lot of people wouldn't enjoy a game like Days Gone if you've just jumped from another open world game. It came out at the right time for me because I was just finished playing with Devil May Cry, which is a very different kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
If I'd been playing like a Red Dead a lot and then jumped onto Days Gone, I'd probably be like, oh, I can't be asked with that, walking all this way and riding all this way and that and the other. But that's just the roll of the dice, unfortunately, for some of these reviewers. But hey, it doesn't besmirch their opinion. They're allowed to it. And anyway, moving on from Days Gone, let's go on to our next video, which got 81,000 views and was how Activision fooled everybody with very clever PR. Now, this was a good one. It was because we've sort of been on a bit of a roll of late of cracking down on misinformation and people misinterpreting things and running with it, where we're going to say that we're the ones who got it right. So this was about Activision coming out with a blog post saying that there's not going to be any loot boxes or anything anything like that in Modern Warfare, and people then interpreted that to mean that they're never going to be there. And for a lot of companies, if they say we're not doing loot boxes, we could assume, okay, that probably means it's not in their timeline. It's not going to come further down the roadmap. But for a company like Activision with a track record of this bullshit, why would you believe anything like that?
Not coming at launch doesn't mean they're not there ever. It just means that they're not being at launch. We're not working on them now. Doesn't mean that we're never going to be working on them. It just means they're not working on them now. It's exactly what it is. What they said, and you've got to take it as it said, not extrapolate something like Charlie Intel said. Oh, no microtransactions ever! Yay! This is a win for the. Slow down there, dudes.
It may be. We may be wrong. Like, it may get to the next Call of Duty and the Modern Warfare never had loot boxes in it. I just am not so sure, given the evidence in front of me. I'm a skeptic. But anyway, Activision have added post-launch microtransactions in the past into games which they promised they wouldn't. So one notable one was Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Everyone expected that to have some sort of microtransactions, but then they added them in post-launch, and it was like paywalled stuff as well, stuff you couldn't get through gameplay, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. But more controversially, it was Crash Team Racing, it's a game about Crash Bandicoot racing in cars. It's one of them, like a Nintendo game, like a Mario Kart. It's the same sort of thing, being, it's colourful, it's wholesome, it's fun. But no, they put post-launch microtransactions in, and that one came after the developers had promised at an E3 or something that it definitely wasn't going to happen. And then obviously, it's probably not the developers' fault. They would have been told to do it by Activision, and they have to do what they say because Activision owns the brand and the license. Another thing with the game was that supply drops were spotted in the beta, and that's their name for loot boxes. So if it was in the beta, that suggests that it's going to be in the game at some point. It may not be.
Well, it was being worked on. They decided against it, or there's many reasons. It definitely was in there as supply drops in the beta. It was definitely spotted. So at some point, something is being worked on at some point because the words are actually in the game.
And loot boxes do make money, but they're bad and they're immoral. And then there was a huge question of pay to win. And people saying like, oh, you can unlock everything through gameplay. That's great. Yeah, that is good. But you can also pay for it. So it doesn't say anything specific about like cosmetic only. And people extrapolated that that's what it did say, although it didn't. And just because you can unlock it through gameplay doesn't mean that they won't charge you as well for it. And that's still pay to win. Like if you can spend 40 hours in a game grinding to get a gun which does 10% more damage, now that's a really big difference. Get that gun, work for that gun. Or you can pay for it. That's paying to get that advantage and therefore win.
Yeah, and some people are under the misconception that if you can earn everything with just regular gameplay, it's not pay to win because everyone can get them. But the point is, it's about these little advantages, right? It's about that 10% extra damage. It's about that. I made a comparison in the video about someone buying the mini nuke out straight away, and then just owning everyone until everyone gets to level 40 to earn it in the game on their own. It's like, of course, that's pay to win. There's no argument against that. And anyone, anyone who thinks differently is just trying to justify something that they like and they believe in, they're trying to defend, or they're just plain deluded. And they just don't understand it. But yeah, 100% is pay to win, even if it's earnable in the game.
And this same thing comes onto another video, which we'll get onto shortly. Another part of this was that it was like half measures. People are calling them heroes and being like, "Oh, this is such a huge step," but they're still doing a battle pass. They're still doing all the same microtransactions forever. They're not fucking heroes. They're just maybe not doing loot boxes and maybe not doing pay to win. But you're saying they're never doing it, and that's just not what they said.
Maybe not as shitty as they used to be. Does not make them heroes. It makes them maybe less shitty than they used to be. It's simple. I mean, just think about it.
It's like when the naughty kid in class who's always like drawing on the tables, the one day he doesn't draw on the table, he gets like a sweet or a reward. But what about when I have never drawn on the table because I'm a good little boy? Me? I want a sweet. I mean, why draw on the table anyway? Draw on your textbook, man.
There you go. So that was that story again. If you want to go and check out that video, link in the description. Our next video number 7 of this year, 79,000 views. How CDPR has shown everyone how it's done at E3 with Cyberpunk 2077. Now, this was the video straight after E3. The Keanu moment. We all know the Keanu moment. It's a meme. You're breathtaking. This is where he was announced to be in the game. Out of nowhere, he walks on stage and everyone lost their shit. One of the highlights of E3. You'll never remember.
Highlights my life.
You will not remember anything from E3 this year other than that.
Yeah. Of all the weird celebrity endorsements E3's done over the years, that one is so perfect.
Can you remember anything else at E3?
No.
Not really. Yeah, there you go. So it's the Keanu moment was E3 2019 essentially. So he's playing a character called Johnny Silverhand, and we don't really know a lot about him. Johnny Silverhand died in the lore previous to the game, so maybe he's a ghost, an apparition, some sort of what do you call it, hologram or something. But we don't know that just now. But in the video, we were basically lauding CDPR for setting a good example for the industry, because not only did they knock everybody's socks off with that announcement, there was a secret message in the SSH to the machines. That was an extra file that only people who were very clever could figure out how to find and access.
It was something in the trailer which took you to like a Google Drive or something.
But anyway, there was a secret message in the SSH and explained why they held back the gameplay trailer from the public, essentially to generate a feeling of exclusivity and hype for the game, to get everybody excited for it as part of their marketing thing. So it's kind of, it was we know you're frustrated because you didn't get to see the gameplay when the journalists did, but this is why we did it. It's because it's a marketing thing, and we want to try and build up hype. So it's that kind of communication, that sort of explanation, which is what we appreciate, which is why we're saying that it did really well. And they also went on in the message to explain that there are only 2 editions of the game, and saying you definitely shouldn't pre-order if you're not convinced about buying the game yet. And they said specifically, we would rather you truly enjoy Cyberpunk 2077 and not regret a pre-order. Now, how many companies would say don't pre-order?
Yeah.
How many companies would say don't pre-order? CD Projekt Red definitely did that, and again, they get a lot of respect from us for very specific reasons, and these are the reasons, right? These are some of the reasons why they get respect from us, because they're not greedy, all out, buy a pre-order now, this is the bonus that you'll get, this is the added cut-off content that you'll get all this exclusive things. They're not trying to fuck anybody over here. They're just trying to do things in the right way, and that's the way we see it. You might think differently. They're just another corporation, just another company trying to make money. We get that side of the story too, but everyone needs to make money if they're making games, and this is the right way to do it, in our opinion.
So, and the just saying there's 2 editions. There's like your standard edition, then your deluxe edition. Your deluxe edition usually comes with all the bells and whistles. You get a little statue. You get like your soundtrack or an art book as well. But then the standard, vanilla basic edition, that's still got a bunch of cool crap in the box, which is just that's their standard across the board edition. No
thank you note in the box,
and thank you. It's not a pre-order bonus edition. It's just, if you buy the box, you go to a game shop and you pick it off the shelf. That's what you'll get in the box, which is just amazing.
And the deluxe edition is like a statue or something. It's something
huge.
worth your money.
Yeah.
It's not exclusive content. It's not like fucking everybody else over because we've carved off this extra bit of content for you because you're going to put up the readies before anyone else. That's not what it is. Anyway, that was that, and that just an expression of our appreciation of CDPR and the fact that they are setting an example for the rest of the industry. And again, you might not agree, but we definitely think so.
Moving on from a good corporation to a bad, well, sometimes good, almost the worst at times, but sometimes they're okay.
It's like the Jamie Lannister.
Yeah, they really are. It's Ubisoft. Every now and then they're like, you've done a good thing there. That Assassin's Creed reviews well. The Watch Dogs looks quite good, and then they just go and do something else. So this is Ubisoft Ubisoft responds to outrage with blatant lies, and we're not having it. Which got about 74,000 views, and this is Ghost Recon Breakpoint bullshit, because Ghost Recon Breakpoint, in case you've forgotten, like I totally had, was a game that came out this year, and I'm not sure the world cares about it.
Yeah,
it's definitely got its core. Like every game has its core, player base, but it doesn't seem like it's, a hot topic in the news. Anyway, there was a huge thing about time savers and pay to win stuff in the game because. Excuse me. When it launched, you could buy a time saver, which would earn you XP faster, which would mean that you could then get better weapons and weapon attachments faster, which then gives you a bit of an advantage. People are arguing that that's not pay to win, which, as we've already discussed, is just bullshit. It's a dumb argument because it is pay to win. And there's an argument about whether it's PvP only. Like if you can not do it in PvP, if you have no advantages in gameplay and all the weapons are, the stats are leveled out, then it's not pay to win. I still think it is, because you're still paying real money to get something in a game early. You're still reaching the finish line faster. But part of the big thing was that Ubisoft claimed they didn't mean to put it up. They put up the time savers in error. We didn't mean to implement this part of the storefront, which we literally developed and created systems for, to engage with your bank account through a debit card and then transfer money from your account to our account. We didn't mean to put all that effort in.
It's that age-old excuse, my penis accidentally fell inside the other woman.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman. I didn't.
Accidentally.
I promise.
My cock just accidentally slipped in her hoo-hoo. You know what I mean? It doesn't wash with... It's not... doesn't wash with your... Women see straight through that. And we see straight through this shit, that's for sure.
But even calling it a mistake is like, we didn't mean to do it, so that suggests that you were going to do it at some point, because we didn't mean to do it yet. So it was going to be post-launch time savers, because they were like, it's going to give new players the advantage so that they can catch up with everyone else. No, just shut up.
It's just bullshit justification of a mistake that you've made. Just own up to it. Just say, well, we're sorry, not supposed to be in there. I don't want to put them in there, or whatever. Just admit to being a bunch of cunts. I mean, that would smooth things over for me, because people make mistakes. But if you own up to them, you get a little bit of respect at the very least. Was that the end of that?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. We've only got a couple left. So the next video, 74,000 views November the 1st. Reviews are mixed on Death Stranding. Reviewers are mixed on Death Stranding. Reviewers are mixed, not reviews. Reviewers are mixed on Death Stranding. It's a masterpiece, but is it fun? So the game, this was specifically a review roundup of the game, and we looked through a lot of reviews. It's 82 on Metacritic. We looked through a lot of the reviews. That's not mixed reviews. Let's get this straight, right? I never said that in the video. Some of them are mixed, and the reviewers themselves are mixed on whether it's fun or not, or whether it's because they didn't really like the gameplay, but still they appreciate that it existed, and that was where they're mixed. They had mixed feelings. These people had mixed feelings about this game.
Yeah, and some of them were just making conflicting statements, this is really engaging, but then in a sentence later saying it's boring. Yeah, it was weird.
So, I mean, the reviewers was a very specifically chosen word in that title, so that people might think, what, mixed reviews? And that's what they did. They came into the video and said, the reviews aren't mixed, you're talking shit, you're clickbaiting. Well, actually...
Not what we said.
Actually, that's not what we said. Reviewers are mixed, specifically themselves. But anyway, that was just my little fun that I was having with some of the trying to trigger them. I triggered a lot of them. It's not hard to trigger a Kojima fanboy.
It's just very easy. I mean, I've got a triggered fanboy comment or a couple from the same person who's rather upset with me. Well, maybe us, but still probably me.
On the review.
Yeah. Well,
you got it for later.
Yeah, I'll bring it out later.
In the bank.
But the thing is, there's a couple. There's like he's the
loads.
same guy who's like,
2 weeks worth.
I'm waiting for the blah 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 blah, and he's done it a couple of times. So I found one of them, and he's found the other one.
So yeah, I mean, not much to say about this other than what I've just said, and also that's the Vive branded it an irredeemable piece of garbage and gave it a 3.5 out of 10, whereas others were loving the game. I still love that quote, an irredeemable piece of garbage. I might not think it. But I like that he's got balls to stick it out there and say, I think it's a piece of garbage. Whether you'd say it's balls or just trying to get people to click on his article is another question. And then the very last video, do you want to read it out?
Yeah, let's take this one, which was from October the 21st and got about 64,000 views. And it is, Bethesda abandons its principles and makes Fallout 76 pay to win. Now, this is like the third fucking time we brought up pay to win here.
Yeah.
Because it's a topic that gets people, viewers and us, pissed off at
and
these
I think
companies.
It's a topic that we cover pretty well because we cut through the shit when it comes to pay to win. We're not going to pull any like, oh, maybe it's not pay to win, maybe it's
because
alright.
it's a game we like. Oh, we like this game, so it's not pay to win. No, we don't like any of them. We hate them all.
Yeah, we hate games, which helps.
We're gamers that hate games. There's so many of those people. I'm like, can you not just be happy about one of them?
Yeah.
Just like, anyway. So this was about Bethesda making problems for players and then selling them the solution. It's it's business 101.
Yeah,
like, tell people.
Modern game industry basically.
And they were announced changes to the Atom shop or the Atomic shop or whatever it is, which is basically their microtransaction store, which was supposed to be cosmetic only when they first announced it. We're paraphrasing here, but it says, in order to consistently deliver content that keeps the game fresh and exciting, we're adding pay-to-win elements, which will be gameplay altering, and you have to pay real money for it. So this is despite Pete Hines being on record and saying that they were going to stay on the right side of monetization. That's like a quote he said. I can't remember who he said it to, but yeah, we're going to stay on the right side.
It was pre-launch. Yeah.
But selling pay-to-win items like repair kits, which would fix your weapon, because weapon degradation is a thing in Fallout, in case you didn't know. Repair it back to 100% and then some. Yeah, so it would do bonus damage.
That's like 50% of damage.
Yeah. Scrap kits, which is that the one which collects, or is it the Collectratron? The Collectratron, which automatically collects scrap from the world for you, which is it. That's a grind skipper essentially.
Time saver.
The refrigerator, which is
stops your food
stops your food degrading. All of which were suggestions by the community as just general improvements for the game, like quality of life stuff. So they listened to everything the community said on Reddit and Twitter and the forums and all that, and then we're like, okay, well, we've done all that. Pay up. Yeah.
Pay for these game
improvements. Pay me.
If you want us to improve the game, you have to pay for it. Yeah. And that's, I don't know, it was one of the few Fallout 76 videos that we did this year, and I generally tend to like doing them because, the most recent one was we did a podcast segment on it where we infiltrated the aristocracy of Fallout 76 because the Fallout First subscription is a thing now where you can pay $99 a year for access to a private server, which aren't really private, by the way, they weren't at launch because anyone could join, or $13 a month. So you become a Fallout First subscriber, you get extra emotes, you get an extra fast travel point, you get a storage a storage box, which is unlimited or whatever, which actually ended up eating a lot of the stuff that you stored in there at launch. So again, such buggy. And there's another thing. There's another thing that we were going to cover as well. They've just patched the game again, and I read the headlines briefly this morning, but they patched the game again and introduced another bug, obviously, which when you reload your weapon, it degrades your armor. How? So you can be shooting people, you reload your weapon, and your armor's just gone to shit. It's amazing.
I love this
It
game.
really is amazing. It's brilliant.
if you want your game to be memorable and to have a legacy,
how the fuck does that even? Are they connected? Like, you know, when you've got a dodgy bit of code, how the fuck are them bits connected? You know, how the fuck can reloading a weapon, cause your pants to fall off or whatever?
Their code must just be like a spider web of just mess.
Bullshit, man. And this was a patch which supposedly fixes bugs and introduces new content, and they just, it's time and time again. It's not only just what, this is why it's funny, right? It's that thing, like, why if I don't know, what's that expression where if you feel like doing something over and over again, just stop doing it. I don't know what it is, but it's like every single time it seems they release a patch and they fuck something up, and it's just
at this point
funny.
We've gone through being mad at them about stuff. It's just funny to laugh at them. But I do feel sorry for the team, the like regular people who are just working on stuff, because they're probably just passionate people who love Fallout. We're like, this is a great job. I can work on Fallout. I'm a programmer or an environmentalist. Let's work on it, and they're just getting bummed by the game itself because it's not ready. It wasn't ready when it came out, so now they're fighting with themselves to try and get it done, and it's a sad situation for them to be in, but you can leave.
Yeah, that's it. So that was 2019 for PGG. Those are our highlights. They're literally our top 10 videos, all of which you can go and check out. So what are your highlights for 2019, Henry, before we move on?
What, in terms of content?
Well,
or
I don't know. We're not
gaming.
We're not doing an awards ceremony because we are pushed for time. There's a lot going on behind the scenes here. We're currently in the transition of moving offices. Now, this is may well be the last time we have to green screen this brick wall because, lo and behold, our new office has an actual brick wall in it. So yeah, there's a lot of things happening right now. We don't have time to do an awards ceremony this year, but in terms of games of the year, notable moments from this year,
I think we've had a pretty good year for gaming. My game of the year, I've said it quite consistently, is Resident Evil 2. It's a game that did exactly what I wanted to and more. It scared me when it was supposed to scare me, and I don't like horror films, and horror games can be hit and miss because they don't scare me, and Resident Evil 2 scared me. I liked that, did what I wanted to do. Games like Days Gone, which I had my eye on for a while, that was what I wanted it to be. A few issues with like personal issues, like it was a bit buggy at times, but nothing like game breaking. Some of the pacing in the story was weird, but when it was good, it was really good. Yeah, and the hordes were incredible. Death Stranding, it's a game that came out.
You might have heard of it. You might not have heard of it.
I like it. Don't love it. I like it a lot. I almost love it. I love the conversation around it and all of the different things, because now there's a big thing about them removing a bunch of negative reviews from Metacritic, which is supposed to be bot reviews, which is no, that sounds perfectly reasonable, because if they're bot reviews, they're fake. Metacritic has no filter on how to like prove if you've played the game, which that sounds like they're just culling bullshit, but they haven't done it for the positive ones half as much, and there's obvious bot reviews for the positive, so that's a bit questionable, or very questionable.
There you go.
But I love everything that's going on with that game to talk about. Anthem. I love Anthem. I'm glad that happened this year. Yeah. Because that was only in February.
Yeah.
Well, it was almost a year.
I feel like Anthem wasn't even this year. It was so long ago now.
Like, there's been so much drama.
You say it was this year, and I'm like, it wasn't, was it? Yeah, it was February.
Yeah. So it's been almost a year for that game. I've recently reminded myself of how much I love Devil May Cry, because I've been playing Astral Chain, and I've been like, I love a good hack and slash when it's good. But Astral Chain's got a very like cartoony art style, and it's cel shaded. I was like, no one really does this when they're realistic. Oh wait, no, they did. Devil May Cry did it on the RE engine, and it was amazing. So I've had a great time.
Yeah, I mean, I did too. Days Gone and The Outer Worlds are my two favourite games of this year. For different reasons, and I think The World and Days Gone is just fantastic, and the gameplay in Outer Worlds is great. Obviously, also gameplay in Days Gone, but there's this one story moment which kind of stuck with me that kind of sours the taste of Days Gone a little bit for me. And right at the very end, I felt it was a bit I don't know, it was a bit. I don't know. There was just something that took the shine off Days Gone for me. But those two were my games of this year. Not that I've played a lot of the new games, I will be honest. But 2020 is a scary number to say, but it is next year and only a few weeks away, and we're getting so many good games coming up
within the space of like 3 months.
We're getting so
not even necessarily good, but like AAA, high budget projects.
So Cyberpunk 2077 is the one on everyone's lips.
Yeah,
You've got the Last
that's
of
the
Us,
obvious
Last
one.
of Us Part
in May,
and those are the two ones I was looking forward to. And then Nintendo went and threw a bloody hand grenade in my plans for Game of the Year, and announced that Sports Story was coming, the highly anticipated follow-up to Golf Story, which was my favourite. It is my favourite Nintendo Switch game ever, hands down. And the sequel is coming next year. And oh my God, move over Cyberpunk, move over Last of Us Part 2, Game of the Year, Sports Story next year. Guaranteed. You best watch out for that, because I tell you what, it was awesome. If you haven't played Golf Story on Nintendo Switch, go and get it right now, because it's awesome and those developers need supporting.
There you go.
Game of the Year 2020 already in the bag.
In a year with Cyberpunk, Last of Us, Resident Evil 3 Remake, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, Vampire Masquerade Bloodlines, Doom Eternal, Marvel's Avengers game, something else. There's definitely something other major that I've forgotten. But there's loads of stuff.
There is loads. So let us know what your highlights for 2019 were personally, because
Ghost of Tsushima, which you will probably know.
We've got a window. We don't really know.
Yeah,
and the new console's coming in the next year.
You will know by the time you're watching this probably what the release date is, because I'm expecting it at the Game Awards, which airs tonight, but it's at like 1 or 2 a.m. So I'll watch it tomorrow morning. Pre this recording anyway, so by the time you're watching this, you definitely know. Tell us about Ghost of Tsushima down in the comments. Is it going to be the greatest game ever, or is it just one of these artsy, cutscene heavy bullshit things? Yeah, and Cyberpunk 2077, is that Game of the Year already in your heads, like, or is it just an overhyped game that isn't going to connect with you? I don't know. Let us know all your thoughts on anything that we have discussed in this segment. And so next in the podcast, it's time to take some questions from the Patreon supporters over on the Discord, and straight after that we will be doing the YouTube comments of the week, including the Triggered Fanboy comment of the week. So we've got a lot of questions this week because we were ill last week. Well, I was ill last week and we weren't able to produce, so we've got a backlog of questions. So rather than miss anybody out, I don't want to miss anybody out, but we might have to move through them slightly faster than normal, just to facilitate, just to accommodate everybody. And these questions are put to us by our community, like I mentioned, the Patreon community. Support us over at patreon.com/prettygoodgaming to get access to our Discord, to get access to the podcast a couple of days early, and you get to ask questions for the podcast, and you have the satisfaction of knowing that you're helping support us bring this content to YouTube, because somebody has to support us, damn it, otherwise we literally wouldn't be here. So thank you everybody who does take that decision to support this modest YouTube channel, let's say. So first up, who do we have? Let's take it away with DC the Tog. The other day, I looked up the games that came out 10 years after I was born, 1999, and realised that year was the ultimate year of gaming that changed my life forever. I could hardly pick a favourite because there were so many great ones. What was your guys' favourite year in gaming of all time?
So his list here, that he lists in an after message saying Donkey Kong 64, Silent Hill, Super Smash Bros., Unreal Tournament, Episode 1, Phantom Menace, and Final Fantasy VIII. All those games he played and loved in 1999. The ones that I picked out, it's a great year. He's got a good choice, but not for the ones that he picked. There's also Driver came out that year. GTA 2 came out that year, which was a classic. Resident Evil Nemesis, which is Resident Evil 3 going to get remade. Siphon Filter came out that year, and the original Medal of Honor. There's so many great games that he hasn't even mentioned in that year, which does lead me to believe, yes, that was an awesome year for gaming. So the one I've picked out, my favourite year of gaming, was 2010, because, check this list out, Red Dead Redemption, Fallout New Vegas, Mass Effect 2, and a personal favourite of mine, Heavy Rain. Those 4... Well, there's 2 big hitters there for me. Mass Effect 2 was reasonably good. Heavy Rain was reasonably good. But Red Dead Redemption, the original, and Fallout New Vegas, they wipe the floor with any other year in terms of heavy hitters. So that's why I've gone with that. Other notables from that year, which I didn't... Not the best for me, but Bioshock 2, not a big fan of that franchise, but a lot of people are. Battlefield Bad Company 2, I don't know if that was a good one or a bad one from the Battlefield series. And COD Black Ops, a lot of people like the Black Ops, but that was in that year too. So 2010 was I went searching. Those was my results. Did you do your research?
I didn't at all, because I was trying to remember, like off the top of my head. I was like, oh, this came out this year and that was pretty good. Oh no, this came out that year, that was pretty good. But I'm going to answer the question slightly differently. As opposed to being 1 year of like quality releases, because I could pick numerous. The first one that pops into my head, just because it's recent memory and it's a bit of a cop-out, is just last year. It's a cop-out, so I'm not doing it. Like God of War, Spider-Man,
yeah, it was a good year,
Red Dead, there's some good shit. But I'm going to do like a period of my life rather than a specific year, because that would be the year probably from like 2007-ish till 2010, 2011 sort of time, because that was my peak like window of like gaming with friends, because I never really do it anymore apart from the occasional Smash Bros or Mario Kart. But then we were like every night religiously, and I haven't done it since, playing like Halo 3 online, or maybe a Call of Duty. It wasn't so much my scene, or like playing Gears 2 online with a couple of my mates, or like Horde, or fucking about in Red Dead online, the original Red Dead online, of course. So I'm just going to put that like window of my life as my answer. Again, it's still a bit of a cop-out, but
that's fair. That's fair.
And so it was just before the like wave of DLC really set in. So when we bought the game, we had all the maps. We all were on the same page with what we were doing. And then obviously DLC start coming in, and it's like, oh, do you want to play tonight? Oh, what map are you playing? Oh, this one, can't play it, don't own it. And that's when things started to go downhill.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Who are we again? DC the Tog. Next question, Black and Red Gaming. More a discussion, podcast topic. With the rise of the internet, even more as the years pass, and all the mainstream media now trying to choke YouTube with their garbage. That's fair to say. Do you think that we should have some kind of proper internet education for kids in order for them to know how to behave online, and for older people to try and get in touch with the internet at least a bit? Also, sorry, if that topic gets you demonetized, yeah, we'll be all right. We'll surround it.
Do you want the long answer or the short answer?
The short answer is absolutely
yes.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't we want kids to get educated on how to...
Kids should be educated on everything.
Online? Yeah.
Let alone just the internet.
I think there are so many like holes in the education system in terms of just operating within society. Like they don't even teach you how to. Well, we didn't get lessons how to manage your finances.
Nope.
Like that's one of the core life skills you need to learn. Right, manage your finances. Another one is social skills, how to interact with other people. A core like blank spot in the education system. Oh, you learn how to divide fractions, and you learn like pi to trigonometry, all that sort of bullshit stuff you never take with you throughout life. But there's fundamental things like reasoning and logic and critical thinking. Those things are really important, and they just anyway.
Critical thinking in particular, stuff like that. I always think of it like learning a language, in that it's much harder the older you get. Because like you're set in your, the way you think. You're not wired to do it so much anymore. But as a kid, if you're taught to ask questions like why, not just what, and stuff like that. I think when it comes to the internet, there should be an internet license, right? Like we have to have for a driving license.
They sound like that's coming in China. This.
Oh yeah, I'm fucking authoritarian like regime here. In internet license, we have to do a test that's a basic like. Cognitive competence, so you got enough brain to know what the fuck you're doing and not just a dumb fuck, and a basic level of literacy. Because some people are very intelligent people, but when they spam something on the internet and just type quickly and just instantly press send, even if they had a valid point, it's now gone with the wind. And I think it's part of the problem that I have. I yell at my girlfriend all about this when she does this, because normally she's fine, but if she's texting something like one of her mates, people who text like in little bits, and they just hit send straight away, especially when they make an error, and then they just like instinctively type it again and make an error again. I've done it as well, and it infuriates me. Just send. I'm not talking a paragraph. If you've got 3 points, put them in one message. I can handle that.
Else, if you don't follow these rules, you'll be thrown in jail and incarcerated for the rest of your life, such as our authoritarian...
totalitarian regime. So, internet license, and I'm going to build like a big monolithic prison to stick you in.
We're going to overhaul the whole education system, and we're definitely bringing in rules for using the internet, that's for sure. Thanks for your question, Mr. Black and Red Gaming.
Next up from Hostwervo47. Does YouTube implement a system that notifies you of every comment made on all videos that you publish, regardless of how old the video is? Basically, do the creators read my comment even though it's a few years past the freshness date, or does it slip through the cracks completely unnoticed? Thank you for your time. Well, you've asked this question in good time. It's not like a year later, so that's fine. Or maybe it is.
In order to answer your question, because it's a pretty simple one, then we can move on. Absolutely, yes. Every comment comes in chronological order, no matter what video it's on. So I can look on my app or look on the portal online, and it shows you like 5 minutes ago, someone X person commented this comment on like a video from 2 years ago, and then every comment that gets commented after that gets updated in chronological order. So yes, people, if you comment on old videos, you will still get read, especially on ours, because I read all of them anyway. But if people are saying, I didn't get your comment because it's on an old video, don't let them lie to you. That's just bullshit. But thanks for your question, Mr. Josuervo. And Pickapol Pool asks, it's 2077 and you're the CEO of Tencent Games.
My totalitarian regime has come to power.
Come to pass, and Henry is in charge. Which of whom now owns everything in gaming? So we're the CEO of Tencent Games. We own everything in games, and due to the short-term thinking of the previous CEO before you, people have abandoned gaming due to the company taking too much advantage over the monopoly. You're faced with the decision to close the doors on one of the three choices of studios and then sell another and give the money to fund the last studio in order to bring people back into gaming. Your choices are Bethesda, Activision and EA. So you close the doors on one, sell the other, and then use that money to fund the third, which survives. So one dies, one gets sold, one survives.
This is so easy for me. So
Bethesda, Activision, EA. Go for it.
Activision, you're getting closed. Don't care. You do nothing that I care about. EA, they make a whole lot of money just like Activision do, but they've also got brands like Star Wars and FIFA. So I could sell them for a lot, take all that money, put it into Bethesda, and make Bethesda good again. And I will make
Bethesda great again.
Make Bethesda great again. As soon as I read those, I was just like, boom, that's it. No trouble.
Let me think about this. What I would do would be,
it's basically like you could maybe swap Activision and EA, but realistically, Bethesda's the one you're gonna help.
Well, if I'm in charge, then I decide on the games anyway. So it doesn't matter. I don't need to sell or kill Activision or EA necessarily because of that, because I'm in charge of the games. So I can make great Star Wars games now because I am.
Yeah, maybe.
So that's the way I think of it. So who has the best IP in order to survive into the future? It's a difficult one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save EA because they've got the Mass Effect, they've got the BioWare games, they've got the Star Wars.
See, when I sell EA, all of that sold off anyway, so they could survive with other people.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm selling Bethesda,
right.
So that all the IP gets sold off to better creators.
Gotcha.
And then Activision can just curl up and die. Thanks for your question, Mr. Pickapol. Moving on.
Now we've got a discussion point here from Metal Shark, but unfortunately neither of us are particularly well versed in it, but I'll throw it out anyway and comment down below if you've got any insights. What are your pro-consumer, not necessarily technical views on the Linus Tech Tips FPS comparison video and the general higher frame rate debate? possible discussion points. Should those with lower spec hardware / older systems be queued in multiplayer with those with similar hardware capabilities? Would digital handicapping solutions like larger hitboxes, etc., for those playing against the odds be a good move? Is this just another example that Harry doesn't need the latest broom to win at Quidditch? So that metaphor is you don't need the best equipment to still be the best in the game.
Yeah, I mean,
but Harry does, like in the first one, he does have the best broom. In the second one, they've all got better ones, but he does have the best broom.
So we're talking here about players being handicapped because of their hardware, essentially. So
should the game accommodate that?
Hitboxes be bigger? No, I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, I'm yet to be convinced. I'd probably say no in general, and then someone might throw a good reason why that's a good thing. I don't think that's a good thing.
Nah.
Just initial reaction, at least. For those playing against us, no.
Lobbying people together doesn't seem like a bad idea, but it seems like a bunch of faff for the game to do.
How far do you go with that? Like, if you're going to group them together with lower spec, like where's the cutoff in terms of lower spec? How low does your spec have to be? When do you move that threshold when more technology comes in? It sounds like a total head scratcher for me.
Could be interesting from an analytical perspective to see, because if you're putting all the high frame rate people together, to see their numbers if they are actually better, because the skill levels are going to be dispersed across the different.
Total transparency. We didn't see the video that you're talking about.
No.
It's been
I don't watch Linus Tech Tips because I'm not technically savvy.
Apologies on the lack of informed response there, Metal Shock. We did our best. If anyone else has your own thoughts, just leave us your own thoughts. Maybe that helps other people understand. And if anyone else has watched wants to weigh in on this conversation, feel free. Metal Shark follows up with a few more questions. Henry, what are your thoughts on Project Resistance?
This question came for last week's podcast, which we missed. So it's pre the revelation that Resident Evil 3 is definitely coming and Resistance is going with it.
Would you have preferred efforts were put into remaking another single-player title in the series? Does the idea of asymmetric multiplayer, where there is a choice to play solo versus a team, offer an interesting alternative to pure solo?
I think it looks cool.
We decided it looked good.
Yeah, I like...
We watched the gameplay yesterday, right?
I like asymmetric, one of them. We got it wrong twice in both directions the other day. Asymmetric multiplayer I like... because the Project Resistance, the way I described it, is it looks like a cross between Left 4 Dead, because it's multiplayer but with a co-op focus again about killing zombies and zombie-like monsters. Dead by Daylight, because in that game there's one killer who's coming for you, and in this case it's Mr. X, because you can spawn in as him. And a game like The Observation, or what was the Alien mobile game where you've got
Alien Isolation.
No, the mobile one. Blackout, Alien Blackout,
of course.
Where you're watching through cameras and you can control doors and traps and shit.
Yeah, cool.
That all seems cool. I would have preferred if there was a single player title, but there is one, so I'm satisfied. And the fact that this is just like an extra, which seems to have been developed by its own team, it's not tacked on. It's just we're going to give you a smaller crew. You're going to make this like one thing. It's cool little extra thing, which I'm up for.
My thoughts are, although it might not be for me, it kind of looks cool, right? There's 4 players trying to get out, and there's one guy who trying to, mess with them essentially. It looks cool, not for me. However, there's definitely a gap in the market for that type of game right now. This Resident Evil has always been a single player or co-op experience in the 5th and 6th installments. There's never been anything like this, and Dead by Daylight's a thing, or whatever it's called, and people like the asymmetric multiplayer games now. It's a lot of fun for groups of people just sitting around. Like these are the innovations in multiplayer games that are pushing the genre forward. And I think if there's a desire for that, then it's great that they're making it. That's for sure. Yeah,
because I think one of the setbacks of a game like Dead by Daylight is you're just like a tank. You're just the monster or the killer going to kill them, and it's once you get them, that's kind of it. But I like the mastermind element to Project Resistance, where you can set traps, and you have to level up essentially to turn into Mr. X, and he'll probably get swapped out with Nemesis further down the line. They're probably not ready for it yet, but I think it looks cool. I'm glad Resi 3 is coming first.
Next part of the question: Or next question from Metal Shock. What title released in the last decade do you think you'd have improved the most if you'd have been an influencing member on the board of directors? No coding required. At the studio/publisher, and how? Do you have an answer?
Star Wars Battlefront, make it a good game. The first one, the second one's good now. Well,
reasonably good.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not really my cup of tea altogether. Yeah, Battlefront, because the first one, you can do everything good that the second one did just in the first place.
Yeah.
Add, what do they call it? Like a campaign, maybe a story-driven thing. But one of the best things about the older ones was Galactic Conquest. It's basically just a series of multiplayer matches, more or less, but with like you could even do it in a multiplayer way and do it with like a meta game. People representing the Trade Federation or the Republic or the Empire or the Rebellion or whatever. Just do everything that the game already did years ago and just make it better.
I think my answer, there's so many to choose from.
Yeah,
you could choose like Fallout 76 and say, oh, hang on, let's not make it online. But I think my number one game that I was so anticipating, and then it was a bit of a flop for me, if I can say that, because I'm going to piss people off by saying this.
Red Dead
Redemption 2. I would absolutely change a lot of that. I would change how heavy-handed the AI on the police are. I would change how very restrictive the missions are. You can't go just out of boundary or get you failed state back to the start of the mission. That is bullshit. Give me different ways to solve the same problem, and also give me fast travel, and don't make me just force me to ride a horse. And it was nice in the first one because you didn't have to do it all the time, but there's just it's just minor things. They're not even that big, right? There's just a minor thing. Tweak to the AI, allow fast travel, not so much like forcing you into certain things, and give you more ways to approach a mission, and that game would be amazing. Okay, so I don't even have to have much influence. I just need to be able to sort them things out, and I would love that game. So hopefully that answers your question. Next up, in the spirit of recent televised questioning, what gaming-related present would you hypothetically get each other for Christmas?
I don't know what I'd get you, but it would have to be... I'd probably spend very little on the actual present, but loads on the wrapping to make it a loot box so it pops open with like confetti and shit.
Oh, you're so kind.
I think that would be really funny.
I would love a loot box for Christmas. Well, you know me so well.
Well, you've got to pay to open it. So
yeah.
I'll bring a card reader with me or something.
So you can cash in on your present. Yeah, brilliant.
That's how it works.
Gaming-related present would I get for you? I would buy you, okay, the special Ultimate Edition
of something crap.
Of the original Star Wars Battlefront. I mean, why?
The original one from 10 years ago?
No, or the one that you just said you didn't like, that one?
Well, it probably came with a cool statue.
Oh, okay. I mean, if you like that too much, then I'll just scrap that.
Like, can't be something good.
No, I mean, I think, in seriousness, like Cyberpunk or something like that.
That's quite easy.
Actually, what I would buy if money was no option, I'd buy you a gaming PC. There you go.
Yeah. No,
there you go, Henry. There's your gaming PC, and I'll have to make do with the loot box that I've got to pay for to open. Thanks, mate. Right, let's move on. Thanks for your questions, Mr. Metal Shark. And we actually have another one from Metal Shark. Do you want to read this one?
Yeah, this is a different theme to this one, much in the line of previous questions. To help out Paulie Cloney 99, here's a Shag Marry Kill question for the week, where all the candidates are medics/healers, as in the multiplayer class. So we got Dr. Angela Mercy Ziegler from Overwatch, AJ Lifeline Che from Apex Legends, and Valerie Volsky from Evolve. Now, Evolve, is that the one with the monsters? That's the asymmetric, where someone plays as a monster.
Yeah.
It didn't do very well. Right, let's just open up these links. I think
you marry the one.
You marry
with the
Mercy,
boobs, obviously.
Marry Mercy,
which is Mercy,
because she. I don't know anything about Overwatch, but the picture I currently have in front of me is. It's not even that lewd, but she looks great. Because she's got she's fairly scantily.
There's two doves. Yeah. I mean, she's an angelic person.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, she's fairly scantily clad, so she's obviously a good-looking lass. But she's angelic. She's gonna be nice. She's probably not gonna be a bitch. Lifeline. Well, yeah, I guess I'd shag you.
I do that one.
And that's
do it, mate.
And I don't really care about Val.
Yeah, she's too. She's a soldier.
She's a bit too much of
too
a
muscly,
butch for me.
Yeah. Not feminine enough. And
there's nothing wrong with
that.
No.
We've got personal taste. That's all it is. Not saying that the more muscular women are worse in any way than the feminine women. Just saying that personal preference dictates that we have to make a decision on this question, and as diplomatically as possible, we would kill the butch lady.
Unfortunately, I don't know anything enough about these characters, like in their lore, to know if they've got any like extra powers or stuff. But so Metal Shark adds his conclusion. I'm thinking Shag Val, especially as one of her specialties, is slowing the monster, which is quite
wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Bold of you to assume I am packing a monster. Lifeline left a wealthy family and is out all hours helping others, so it was going to be a kill there for selfish reasons. Okay, so she left a wealthy family, so she's got no money and she's off busy doing charity work, so she can't spend time with you. But then learned that Mercy has a suit to keep you close at all times, the clingy type, so Mercy gets the kill and Lifeline gets the ring. Okay. Maybe for Lifeline you can try and persuade her to go back to the family.
Yeah.
Or maybe
reconcile with the
reconcile. Maybe they didn't leave on bad terms, so maybe she's still in the will. So you play the waiting game, play the long game, you get the house.
I'm still marrying Mercy.
Yeah, I'm going to stay with Mercy.
She can fly, man. She can fly.
And she's a doctor, so she's going to be smart.
The
others, they may be medics, but they're not qualified physicians. Maybe
I'm just very shallow and just go for the best looking girls. But that's
well, to be fair, the art we have been provided may not also
might not doing justice, but those are our answers, and we're sticking to them. God damn it! Thanks for your questions, Mr. Melchuk, as usual. And Cloney is next. Have I mentioned how I love this community? No, I
don't think you have. Your consistent questions haven't given me any inclination either. But thanks for letting me know.
The answer is no, and thanks for the question.
Thanks for the question. All right. Next question, which is a returning question from Mr. Not That Rob Lowe. Favorite game of year 13. So this is a question we get asked every week, and it's our favorite game from the year of our birth, and then as weeks go on we add a year onto that, and the only rules are that you have to have played the game at some point, but not necessarily at the time when it came out, because if you played a game when you were 1, you're probably not going to remember much of it. What have you got? What's your year?
So 1993 was my year. There's a lot to choose from here. Zelda Link's Awakening was there. I played that. Awesome. Syndicate was I think that was Microsoft Bullfrog, and it was what's his name, the Promiser of Promises, I can't remember his name now. Molyneux. So it was a great game. NBA Jam was a good game. The original Doom I didn't really play it, but Mortal Kombat 2 was out in 93. Alien Breed 2 was a classic game. Ridge Racer in the arcade was one of the best ones.
Ridge Racer,
everyone played Ridge Racer, but my winner from this, it was, as soon as I saw it was hands down, everything else aside, War has never been so much fun as it is in Cannon Fodder, and that's simply the best game of that year, and I would fight to the death anybody who disagrees.
Well, I'm not going to debate any of those. So my year is 2008, and there's numerous games, many of which are very good that I haven't played, some that I have played. Oh no, and I've just lost my document. There we go. Fallout 3, Grand Theft Auto 4, Left 4 Dead, Dead Space, Metal Gear Solid 4, Call of Duty World at War, Gears 2, which is probably going to take the title. It's my favourite Gears game, and I've talked about Gears before. My gaming career wouldn't be the same without it. Fable 2, Mirror's Edge is there, but that was okay. Far Cry 2 I hated, so that can go away. Super Smash Bros. Brawl, which was the one on the Wii, was really good. Star Wars The Force Unleashed was really, really good. Most powerful feeling Star Wars game. That's a close contender. Soul Calibur 4. I'm not into fighting games, but I love that Soul Calibur game. I played that a lot because you've got like big weapons and you can customize your character. Devil May Cry 4, Saints Row 2. There's loads.
It's a good game. Good year 2008. It's a vintage year.
I did consider picking this one for my favorite year in gaming answer, but I didn't.
You didn't. So what was your choice?
2008, and I'm going for Gears of War 2.
Gears of War 2, thanks for your question.
And then just to cap off with Rob Lowe's personal choices, slim pickings I found for 1992. I can't decide between Super Mario Kart or Zelda: Link to the Past. Both great games and pretty much head and shoulders above anything else out that year. I think you picked Mario Kart for that year.
I think so.
Mario Kart's just a safe bet.
Thanks for your question. As always, not that Rob Lowe. Next up, Assassin. Where do you guys stand on games randomly breaking the fourth wall in games? Do you think it's more of a comedic jab or just an immersion break? It depends on the type of game.
Yeah, very much depends how it's done. If
it's a tongue-in-cheek game, then obviously it makes sense.
Yeah, like the Deadpool game, which came out a few years ago with Nolan North. I've not played it, but it looks like just quite fun. That's a very like comedy-heavy game, especially given that character. So it makes sense. Hideo Kojima does it a lot, and sometimes it's for a joke, sometimes it's for like seriousness and like the fight with Psycho Mantis, for example. But it's not a spoiler, but there's a couple times it happens in Death Stranding, and there's one which I actually really liked,
right?
Which is it's very early on. It's sort of like the first main boss fight, and you make your delivery, and then the Higgs appears, who is Troy Baker's character. He appears, and he basically gives you this huge monologue because the writing's terrible, and he's just spouting off garbage. But at one point, he does go like, "Isn't this what you wanted? Like, aren't you sick of the grind? And you want a bit of action?
Yeah,
you want a good old fashioned boss fight type thing." I really thought that was funny because I was like, you know what? Yeah, I've been walking a long way. I could do with a good scrap. Send a big tentacly monster at me, and I'll take it down. Which was quite. There are moments later on where it's just so overblown, especially with that character, because that's kind of the most interesting thing about him.
Yeah. You got to be wary. I think it's one of them things that in a deeply immersive game, you don't really want to be de-immersed by breaking of the fourth wall. So it all depends. It's very specific. I don't mind it. Obviously, it's fine, but it has to be right. It has to fit well with the artistic vision, if that answers your question. So we've got 8 questions left, and a lot of them are big, so let's move on.
Yeah, let's jump through. It's me now. Aki Marin. Goliath Games and Coop Inc. both launched a good sequel of Limbo and Inside. Your studios are top tier and the money is flowing. Sorry, so this is a follow-up to a question last week, which is sort of like Shag, Marry, Kill, but it's...
Rush, monetize, or...
that's the new version. It was like renew, sell, or erase or something for not for video game franchises as a whole, and we picked that we're currently pushing forward with Inside and Limbo. Another week... What games will be renewed, sold, or erased? But wait, the shareholders don't agree. There's more money to be made, they think. Introducing Rush, Monetize, Mobile. I love this. This is amazing. This is how you evolve a question.
Hard question.
All right. They want more money and they want it fast. A cheap and easy way to make money is to rush a game. The game will be a disappointment and an obvious cash grab. You must also monetize a game, add loot boxes, premium currencies, subscriptions, etc. The game won't necessarily be bad, just annoying. Lastly, one game needs to be a mobile release because you all have phones, right? The game will not be enormous success, but it doesn't suck. It's just not what fans want. Would you rush, monetize, or make a mobile version of the following PlayStation exclusive franchises? God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, or The Last of Us?
It's a tough one. Yeah, it's like 3 of the most favourite games of the last God knows how long. 3 favourite IPs. I retire at this point.
Let the company die.
I retire and go and live on an island.
Stick with Limbo
and play
Inside.
And play the original games and don't worry about what's going to happen in the future. This is a hard one.
You got to.
Have you got an answer? I don't know why I'd do anything to any of these. I mean, so you've got to make a mobile version, you've got to rush a game, and you've got to add monetization. So which one of them 3 is going to make the most money out of additional monetization?
I think I would monetize not God of War. I think that's the one I'll rule out. Last of Us, it's already got a multiplayer component anyway, so you could argue the original one was technically monetized. But I'm going to go, if we're assuming the multiplayer is not part of the equation, I'd monetize Horizon Zero Dawn because it's already very similar to the Assassin's Creed format in terms of the way the world's set up. So if they did monetized with DLCs and time savers and shit, I wouldn't like it. But and it says the game won't necessarily be bad. It's just annoying. Yeah. So I'd accept that begrudgingly. God of War on mobile, I think.
Mobile I Rush.
With
Last of Us, God of War.
Rush, Last of Us. Mobile, God of War. Last of Us, I don't want it rushed. But
there's no good option in this.
But I think what would work better on mobile, Last of Us or God of War? I think God of War, with like the different realm travel and stuff, and the way the combat works, I think it could translate a bit better. Because Last of Us isn't... I mean, there's obviously combat in it, but it's not so much about there. It's way more emotional front and centre.
So you're going to rush Last of Us?
Rush Last of Us.
Oh, I hate that idea. I hate that idea. I would make mobile Last of Us.
Yeah?
Yeah. At least...
just to spare it from being rushed.
Or monetization.
Yeah?
Yeah. Just to spare it, because there's no good option here.
No.
And thanks for that, Akimaran. I appreciate it. So I'm going to make Last of Us a mobile game. I think I would play that over the other 3 mobile games. And then monetization in Horizon Zero Dawn, I could overlook that. There are loot boxes or surprise boxes in Horizon Zero Dawn, but there's no, you get them. And you just unlock them. Then it's something random inside. You don't get to buy them at all. And then God of War has to be rushed. Sorry.
Okay, fair enough.
Next up, Earthworm Ben. A few quick-fire questions. What's your favourite game genre and why?
Especially for a quick-fire, easy answer, it's just action-adventure.
Yeah.
It's just easy, and it encompasses so much.
Yeah.
Because you get RPG action-adventures, action-adventure RPGs, RPG-like action-adventures.
I like strategy or RPG because I like making choices. That's why. Yeah. I like making choices and feeling like I am being clever and getting a good result because of my cleverness, my extreme intelligence. Validate my intelligence. No, I get some, like, when I was a kid, I loved maths, right? Because doing puzzles, it's like, yes.
I hate maths.
See, this is the kind of person I am, right? Don't hold it against me, but if I'm set a challenge and I overcome it, and I come out the other end feeling like, yes, I've got a result that not everyone else has got. I feel better than everyone else, and I'm validated. I am the cleverest. I'm the best. That's why I like. So I like that. Thanks for your question. My favorite genre is fighting games. From an outsider's view, is there anything that makes you ever want to try them? Characters, themes, competition, etc. For example, would a Star Wars fighter interest Henry?
What I like. Well, so as I said earlier, I'm not a big fighting games fan, but I like the characters because they're all they're designed to be very individual and unique and look different, but also play differently to each other. And I've always liked that. I've just never connected with them really, apart from Injustice 2, and as I said earlier, a little bit of Soul Calibur 4. But Injustice 2, that's mainly because I love the characters of like the DC universe, like Batman and Superman and everything. And Star Wars fighter, I mean, it'd have to be really good. And if I'm hitting someone with a lightsaber, I expect them to die. So if it's Luke Skywalker versus Han Solo, Luke is going to win. And if he doesn't win, I'm going to be like, what are you doing? To be fair, that's part of the problem with Injustice 2. How does Batman take on Superman? But I think they justify it they like hand wave it away in the first one. It's like, they've all got the super drug now or some shit. But I maybe it'd have to be really good, a Star Wars fighter, to get me going.
And the very last question, DRM, the thing that old men believe stops piracy. Do you think Tron Legacy secure ROM server is now shutting down? Is a perfect example of how the next 10 years could leave us or do you think that's just an oversight by the developer? Now, this is a story that was last week, I believe. Tron Legacy's been shut down, not been able to... If you bought it, you're shut out of luck. You can't even install it, download it anymore because of DRM, the server shutting down. So you paid for the digital game. You can't even access it anymore, even if you wanted to. So that's... The question is this a perfect example of how the next 10 years could leave us? I remember... Jim Sterling made a video based on it, saying, this is what I've been saying for years. This is why, this is what's going to happen. This is because I don't care. This and that. I mean, he makes some good points, but I think it's a little bit scaremongering. I think that this isn't what it's going to be like. I think that yes, it's maybe a bit of a stretch to say that a lot of games are going to do this. However, it doesn't stop us from wanting DRM out of our games. It doesn't stop us from wanting more rights to the stuff that we've purchased. At the very least, I think we do have to push for that, and we do have to push as a consumer base for better service. You can't pay for something and have it taken off you. I think the risk of it is very extremely low, so we don't have to really get that upset about it. Obviously, these people who have played Tron Legacy aren't feeling the same way. They feel a little bit ripped off. But I think it's right that we do raise it as a concern and keep rallying against it because, I'm kind of conflicted on that. I don't think it's going to be a big issue, but I still think we should, just in case, you know what I mean, to stop people.
Yeah. Well, I think as the world becomes more and more online and interconnected based on like the internet and streaming's meant to be a big thing, I do think eventually we will get to a point where everything is connected to whatever service or system or server, and if that's killed, you lose everything. You have no rights at that point. So I get, building on your comment about rights and consumer rights, I feel like there needs to be some sort of safeguard to not allow companies to just cut stuff off like that, to just kill it.
Yeah.
And you lose all your progress and like money potentially you've poured into it, especially if it's a multiplayer game with microtransactions. But my biggest problem with DRM is that it's punishing the good consumers, the ones who are paying for your game and playing it properly, like the people who actually give a shit. But then there's the pirates. They don't lose anything by pirating it because they will crack it and they always do.
Yeah. So thanks for your question. Let's move on to the next one. Do you want to read it out?
Yeah, I think it's me. From Cloney again. Hey guys, when I last searched for a few batteries for some random household appliance, I stumbled across a few old games on a diskette. I think people call them stiffy, as in the thing that came between CDs and the floppy disk, which I think is quite hilarious. Shortly after, I realised that my current PC doesn't have a diskette reader anymore, like most PCs these days. Do you have any treasured games that you can barely play anymore, or install via some complicated mix of emulations of older systems and DOS box? Do you have an ages-old game that you always come back to when you have some free time and just want to relax?
Yeah, I've got games that I can't play anymore. I've got Call of Duty United Defensive on a PC disc at home. I found it the other day. I can't play it. I've got no disc on PC. It's useless to me now. It's just a paperweight essentially, unless I buy a disc drive for a PC, which is probably worth more than just buying the game on digital, on a digital store. So yeah.
I think most of my games are still accessible unless they're like any digital game, because I'm still console scrub. Any digital game will just be on an Xbox and I can still play it. I just don't. I still have it. So I don't know, not so much.
A lot of older games, they re-released them on mobile, believe it or not, because the older systems that we used to play games on are nowhere near as powerful as any mobile phone that anyone might have at any point. So I remember I played. We talked about a game last week. Was it the one before Flashback? What was it called?
No idea.
And I replayed it on mobile. What was my Flashback game? Forgive me a second.
No idea.
It was Another World. Remember, it was my game of the year for
that one, yeah.
91. I played that on mobile because they released it on mobile and it was stand up. They've even got like Rome Total War now on mobile, which is fantastic. So, yeah.
I think stuff like mobile and the Switch is good for that, because I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere that they've announced that Devil May Cry 3 is coming to the Switch now. And I never owned a PS2 myself. I just nicked my brother's. So I might get that on Switch, because that's a good way for games to keep existing.
Okay, we're running out of time here. So for me, it was Warcraft 3. He says Cloney, right? Yeah. Warcraft 3. Play WoW to this day. Also use Warhammer Total War to wind down. Sorry, I'm having to skip through this, but we are on a tight time frame here. Follow-up question: if there's enough time, do you think the video game market growth from 1990 to 2010, with a huge variety of excellent AAA and AA titles, it's impossible to find that one game that scratches every itch because we become too lazy to, for example, build random structures with corpses in DMC5, or don't even start modding Sekiro because there's a new Kojima game to be played?
So this seems like a bit of a complicated question, but I think what you're talking about is like saturation, right? And there being too many games. But then you don't have to play every game.
That's true.
I mean, we kind of
I find it increasingly more difficult to keep up. So yeah, it's impossible to find one game. I think I don't know. I think I expect a little bit too much for each game because there's so much more games on offer now. So much more high quality games. It's like I pick this one, and if I'm not happy with it for certain reasons, it's like I don't know whether it. Yeah, you're right. It maybe doesn't scratch every itch. So you feel like I don't know. You could be playing so many other games if this one isn't quite perfect. Yeah. I don't know. It's a weird place to be. It was so much easier back in the day where there was just like, you've got 2 games to play because you can only afford 2 games. You've got 2 cartridges. Which one do you stick in? You stick in. You play for 5 hours anyway, doing the same level over and over again because you keep dying, and then you come back to it the next day and do the exactly the same thing again, and you have lots and lots of fun. It was a simpler time.
Yeah.
But there you go. Hopefully that answers your question. Shall we move on quickly?
Yeah, so this is a follow-up anyway from DC the Toll. Going off Cloney's question, what was the one game that did scratch all those itches? The one that checked all the boxes for you at the time? Honestly, I would say, at the time I played it, that Secret of Mana checked all those boxes, as well as an old PC Galaga-type game called Raptor. I'd even venture to throw Jet Force Gemini in there. There was nothing about those games I didn't like when I played them. A good example of this for me is a game like Assassin's Creed 2, or, in my opinion, Batman Arkham City versus Assassin's Creed 1 and Batman Arkham Asylum. Both games which are really, really good, but they did exactly what I wanted them to do. There's a bit of a mutterings now that Arkham Asylum is better than City because it's tighter and more focused, but what I wanted them to do is just make it bigger and better, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah. My choices would be Rome Total War / Medieval Total War, the original. Only those 2 games. They do everything that I want them to do. They're a strategy game, they're a real-time battle game, and they're a management sim game. And also Sid Meier's Pirates. I think that from like the very, very early one, I think that again does everything I want it to do. Gives me a career, gives me choices to make, gives me a sandbox to play around in. I think there's good examples there of games that just do what they need to do.
I think that's probably a good way to put it. That's why I chose Resi 2 as my game of the year this year, because it scratches the itch that I needed scratched in that particular way.
Next up, Lochgar. If any, did you have a favourite or least favourite game review to work on this year, and if so, why?
I am rather proud of my Gears 5 review. I don't really know why. I just think it came together really well, especially because I'm not a big multiplayer person, but there was a lot to sink into. Cause reviewing a campaign's easy. Just like the story's this, graphics are this, the gameplay's this. Yeah. But multiplayer, it's a totally different thing. Balancing issues, connectivity issues, other people ruining things. But I really liked how that turned out, and I think it was funny.
Yeah,
at times.
No, I mean, I think you do a great job with those reviews, dude. I really enjoy them because I don't have any input at all, and then I just get to watch them as a observer, as a consumer, and it's like, yeah, absolutely hit the nail on the head. More often than not. So this follow-up is also not a question, but I appreciate the consumer-friendly direction you apply towards your reviews. You're a genuine unsung hero in that regard, and I hope the portfolio you've begun to amass catches the right person's eye in future. Thanks, Lochgar. Appreciate the positive sentiment, because we do get a lot of negative sentiment. We think we do right, and it's nice to hear it from other people too, because self-praise is no recommendation, and it's good that you guys are, keep our spirits high, because after we went through a couple of weeks ago, you find more than ever that we need to. We need that.
All right, it's me now, isn't it? Two Shot Tino, closing in on the last few questions now. What's happened to the news nuggets and the bad dad jokes? I used to really enjoy those parts of the video. Could they become part of the podcast, maybe? I'm craving nuggets.
What happened to them is we're refining what our productions, because we need to, because of production time, like pre-production, how long it takes, and also what works with the algorithm. The news roundup videos don't work that well with the algorithm. Of the list that we read off earlier, I think the highest news roundup was the one where we didn't even mention it was a news roundup. It was "Why is no one playing Anthem" was the title. I didn't put news roundup after that, and it got 90,000 views. The highest one that was a okay, there was a Steam Summer Sale, which was a roundup, and it was indicated. But in terms of amount of time it takes us to make the news roundups with the nuggets and stuff, it takes so much longer than the conversational ones where we're not doing it to camera. That being said, it doesn't mean that we're never going to do that again. And hopefully these types of roundups we can carry on in the podcast in future. The nuggets, obviously, we all love the nuggets, but it's how to fit them in that makes sense. With us changing scenery in the new year with our offices, there's always scope for changing what we do and playing around and keeping things fresh. We always like to try and keep things fresh with the content. They're not around now doesn't mean that they'll never be around again, and they are still in our hearts, and we will hopefully be able to facilitate them at some point in the future. But thanks for the question, Two Shot Tino. Next, Pick a Poll. Hello guys, I'd like to know which one of you chaps, I'll just stop that, which one of you chaps would like to try a game like Pokemon? It's an indie game that is an MMORPG, but they are thriving to be their own thing rather than just being a Pokemon knockoff. I want to know if any of you are interested, and if so, would you be interested in giving your thoughts on it afterwards, even if it's just a mention in the podcast? I don't know what game you're talking about, so...
you're looking for a plug, Peek-a-Pool.
I don't know whether if it is just looking for a plug for a game or it's just genuinely interested in another game. That's just let us know more info, and then maybe we can make a decision on it. So... I'm not really interested in Pokemon, I'll be honest. I never have been, but do you play Pokemon?
Not really since Red. I liked Red a lot, but it just...
There you go. Bit more info, and maybe we can make a decision. And the very last question.
This is from Tons2112. Maybe a cool idea to do a PGG 2019 list from the whole Discord. Like we submit 3 games for this year with a short explanation why that game. So I guess you're suggesting our own little Discord community game awards type thing, which could be cool. It's just a matter of whether or not we have time to.
That's the problem. There's a lot going on personally for me at the moment. It's like what kind of do we turn that into a video, and how do we use that information to make a video of it? It sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, certainly for fun.
So if you want to do that, for sure, we'll talk about doing that. And maybe it's something that we can release over the Christmas period if we get the information together based on what everyone on Discord thinks about the games. Something we definitely look into. We just need specifics on how it would work. Yeah,
just kind of like a video game awards as voted by you type thing.
Yeah. Our Discord video game awards, that would work. Because obviously collectively we've played more games than we have just the two of us. And we weren't able to do an awards between the two of us because... we haven't played all the games. It's not fair on the games you haven't played. So that's a great idea. Let us try and follow that up. And that is it for the comments this week. Thanks everybody for your support and your input on these things. So next we're going to go to the best favourite YouTube comments of the last 2 weeks, because we weren't here last week. But first, we're going to do the Triggered Fanboy comment of the week. My Triggered Fanboy comment of the week is this one. You're going to do yours because you've got one too. Which is awesome. Extra Triggered Fanboy comments this week. So this first one was on our video a couple of days ago. EA repeats dirty tricks and screws over loyal fan base. Talking about
Battlefield 5? Is that the new one?
And the thumbnail said DICE repeats past mistakes. They basically changed the TTK in order to nerf all the guns blanket and trying to attract casual players into the game, and it pissed off a lot of the diehard fans. So King John Michael presents us with the Triggered Fanboy comment of the week, and he says, thumbnail says DICE, video title says EA. Logic. Oh no, wait, this is just for clickbait reasons. No wonder YouTube is getting worse and worse with these kind of videos and content creators. Fucking dude, go back to school, okay, mate?
Well, I mean, DICE is owned by EA.
I love it.
What do you want from me?
I love it. The fact that he's so triggered because he's a fan of Battlefield 5. He wants to call us out. Not because of the content, not because of what we've said in our video, not because of anything that we've reasoned and thoughtfully presented in our video. It's because we've put EA on the title and we've put DICE on the thumbnail, discarding the fact that EA own DICE and own the IP to this game and also made the decision probably, or mandated that decision down to DICE as to whether or not to change the TTK in order to attract more players, in order to make more money out of it. They're both culpable for this. They're both responsible for it. Maybe EA more than DICE, but having both of them in there is not factually inaccurate, for one, and secondly also appeals to the most amount of people interested in EA or people interested in DICE. They'd be more attracted to this video. You, sir, are just a triggered fanboy, and congratulations, King John Michael, you are the triggered fanboy.
First of his name. I put DICE in the thumb and EA in the title because then it covers all bases. Some people don't know who DICE are. Some people don't necessarily know that EA and DICE are connected. Mainly, DICE fit better in the thumbnail. It looks prettier than the circular EA logo. It doesn't look so good when you've got lined text. And what do you want me to do? Say sorry? I'm not. I'd do it again. I think it worked.
Do it again, mate. It worked. It was fine.
So now, these are my ones. So it's from this one person who's commented twice, and he seems to be rather upset. So we'll just quickly order those in the right order. From a chap called Grizzly Bear King, and he commented, well, he might have commented more, but I've got two in front of me. First time I spotted it was on my Death Stranding review from Grizzly Bear King, where he says, when are y'all going to have an apology video or response video to yourselves for fucking up and reporting on Kojima saying it's flies higher instead of doing your due diligence and digging the right information? Edit, kinda like the Yong video. So I guess he's saying we said misinformation about Kojima, and we had a bit of a go. Not a bit of a go. We did call him out. We called out Yong for misinformation around Cyberpunk, so we should be doing an apology video for it. This was 5 days ago, according to the Google. Well, at the time of recording, of course. Someone then replied, "You mean like how Yong correctly assumed the blah 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 blah?" Like just trying to bait him into it, but he didn't even respond to that, and I really hoped he would. So then he followed up with on yesterday's video, which didn't even do very well. So out of the few people that commented, he's right there. Grizzly Bear King 13 hours ago. Still waiting for your apology video for not doing your due diligence, in inverted commas, on the video you made about Kojima 2 weeks before you put Yong on blast for views and clicks for not doing his due diligence reporting on CDPR. If you need a reminder what video, it flies higher.
Just point out where we went wrong. I mean, maybe that's a start, not just like a generic, this video was wrong, apologise. Tell us where we were wrong.
And we did our response video, which was the podcast, and I personally definitely categorically will not apologise. I think I can speak for you as well, because I'm not fucking sorry for anything. And so he's talking about It Flies Higher, and he's got to be on about a video we did, which was titled Kojima Says Death Stranding is difficult to understand for American gamers. The difficult to understand bit is literally the words he said. Granted, he said in Japanese, well, probably in Japanese, translated probably to English to Italians, who then translated that into Italian, and it was translated back into English, because Kojima can speak English, he just often doesn't because he's not very good at it.
Yeah.
Now he can understand it as well.
So that's a factually accurate title, and he's saying we should apologise for it. And it's the exact
same title as VG247, which is where we got the article from, and their title is Death Stranding, game with poop grenades, difficult to understand for Americans, says Kojima. That's what they said. We agreed with it because it's what he fucking said.
Now he's apologise for that.
Something about flying higher. Where's the word flies higher?
Yeah.
Let's just find in page, see if
we even said in the video that he probably doesn't mean to piss off or to say that Americans can't understand it. It's probably we even said that. I remember saying in the video. Yep. It's probably just a mistake on his part, or a lost in translation. He probably doesn't mean to. So he's sticking up for him.
Here we go. Found the quote. Americans big fans of first-person shooters, and Death Stranding is not. It is flying higher. I can't remember what exactly we said, but that's the quote, and I'm pretty sure we referenced that or made a joke about it flying higher, ironically, because it sounds pretentious. It's a pretentious, wanky thing to say, right? I like Kojima, I like Death Stranding, but that's a wankery thing to say, even if it's a translation error, which it probably is, or at least, you know, the nuances and like tones of the way he said it. He might have said it in jest, but we can't know. And I just love that this guy
he's got a bee in his bonnet, and he
does. This guy,
just keep commenting on all the videos, man. It increases engagement. I don't care. It's fine.
You're driving that, so go for it. I hope you're watching. I'm not apologising. and in fact, I'm going to double down on it. Kojima. Let's make up a lie about him. What's a good lie about Kojima? Kojima murdered a monkey when he was 11. That is
a
lie.
Awful.
I mean, it's...
Why would you do that, Kojima?
It's slander. So
call himself a bloody game designer. And
that's what influenced his gaming career. So.
Anyway, I'm not going to say thanks to that guy. Let's move on. I've got a good one here. 8-Bit Motorcycle says, I think this may well be my comment of the year.
Oh.
So brace yourselves for it. I cancelled my Tinder subscription to become a patron member. You better fucking appreciate it. That was great.
Maybe you can find love in the Discord instead of Tinder.
That was great. I said to him, you don't need Tinder. You don't need Tinder because saying you're a PGG patron subscriber is enough to drop any pair of knickers.
You don't have to pay for Tinder, though. You don't. You've got to pay for our...
Well, maybe... Is there no premium membership?
I think so, but all it gets you... See, I've been in a relationship through this whole Tinder thing, so I'm a passive observer. I think you can get extra likes or something, because Tinder, you only get a certain amount of likes for the day or swipes, or I can't fucking remember.
Anyway.
But it's a free app.
He comes back. I'll try that one out this evening and let you know how it goes. Update! He come back with 23 hours later. It totally worked. If anyone sees this, I highly recommend doing it. Ultimate pickup line. There you go, guys. Who needs Tinder? Cancel your Tinders. Everyone who's on Tinder, cancel them. If you've got a friend who's on Tinder, tell him to cancel and come and subscribe to PGG. That's all you need to get a date. Simples. And thank you for your question, Mr. 8-Bit. And thanks for being a patron if you're watching.
Yeah, thanks, dude.
We've got 4 minutes left. Henry, do you have any comments?
On my review again, Poor. This review is quite well balanced. Ha 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 ha. I mean, you kind of killed it when you laughed at your own thing, but yeah, I liked the pun.
It's part of the gameplay to balance. See, get it?
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Okay, Catherine Leake says, women drivers, knickers and a twist, collect popcorn and sits back. Really disappointed Gaz stopped digging. If you remember, I was being a little bit sexist in one video.
You know what? Finding that clip from Space Jam where he's digging a hole on the golf course, finding that in a high quality thing that would actually download took bloody ages just for that little bit.
Bloody ages, mate.
Took bloody ages.
You got another one?
I've not got one ready to go unless you do.
Okay. Minute Repeater says, you guys did right by calling out Young A's mistake, especially since Young himself so many times has put emphasis on proper journalism / reporting from big YouTubers / influencers. That's why, to my opinion, this is a pretty big thing, especially since Young also has been a victim of garbage journalism himself. I'm heavily disappointed in him. This and him not owning up to his mistake, to my opinion, really hurts his credibility. The follow-up was just as empty as Todd Howard's words and Blizzard's CEO, forgot his name. Right now, he's doing exactly what all big CEOs do, that he rightfully so criticised. Yeah, I think that's fair, right?
Yeah. A particular point note for me is where he's like, he's been the victim of it himself because he's been attacked by old media outlets and stuff criticising him, saying he's like alt-right and shit. But,
well, yeah, he should understand it. I think if you are in the business of calling people out, you should expect to be called out yourself if you fuck up, and stick your hands up, because that's what you want of other people. And I think there was another comment, I'm not going to read it all, but Flavin80 was kind of criticising us for what we did. Oh, you guys want other gaming news to shit on you when you fuck up, was this last comment. Yes please, if we fuck up, it's an opportunity for us to learn. Please call us out. I mean, even in the comments, if
like Grizzly Bear King was trying to do, but I don't think he was right.
I always take notice of every little bit of criticism, and if it's valid, I will try and improve things. That's what being a conscientious adult is, right? Why would you not want anybody to call you out on something shit that you've done? It's just counter logic to me. It's like, don't stop being so defensive. Like, everyone can improve. Not everybody's perfect. Anyway, I think that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. We are not going to be here next week because somebody's got to go on a holiday.
Sim again.
Oh, it's the first one since like August. It's the first one since August. We're going away with the family over Christmas, so apologies. There'll be no podcast next week.
You're not flying on a plane though, so it doesn't count.
No, going to Santa Parks. There will be content over the period that we can do individually. I can work from home now in the future, which is going to be great. So that is going to be happening. So hopefully you won't miss us too much, and we'll try and work something out in terms of head to the Discord, and we'll try and work something out for the list of like the game awards from our Discord from community member, because that's a great idea, right? So thanks for watching on behalf of Henry and I for this whole year. We can formally address it and say thank you for the all support on Patreon and all support of the comments on the videos, the likes, the support, and the subscriptions and everything. We really appreciate it, and we really appreciate you helping us be here again for another year, 2020. Let's make it a smashing one. Until then, guys, bye for now.